Hey everybody, how's it going today? And hope everyone is doing safe and well. Welcome back to another episode, and today's episode is going to be another more humble one in related to the second stimulus check / second stimulus package, because obviously this has been a very uneasy time for a lot of people. And as you guys probably already know, I work in entertainment and event services, so barely anyone in my industry is really employed right now. So I definitely feel you guys. If you're going through something, maybe comment down below if you feel it. But I want to talk today a little bit and give a little bit more of an update that I was very inclined to talk about related to the second stimulus check / package, but also a little bit more about the unemployment benefits and the extension part, about what exactly has been going on. So the plan for today's episode is we're basically going to be talking about what exactly is going on with America as a whole, as the entire country right now, with everything that's been going on, from like education to politics to like schools to the rising pandemic, and about how that's going to be impacting the second stimulus check / second stimulus package. And then we're going to finish off this video talking a little bit about my personal sentiments and thoughts, as well as the good news and then the not so good news. But in order to understand the good and not so good news, it's important to kind of understand why everything is the way it is. So definitely watch all the way to the end, because I think it's going to be another insightful one. Oh, and before we begin, consider smashing the like button and hitting the subscribe key if you're interested in videos related to like the second stimulus check, personal finance, and personal development, basically videos about improving the self. Okay, so I'm gonna get the introduction rolling and let's get started. Okay, so welcome back. So if you've been following this channel, basically in one of my previous episodes, I gave a little bit of a timeline where I kind of break down exactly what's going to happen every single date by date, if you're trying to look for a very clear picture like on this date, and also my own personal predictions about why or what exactly I think is going to happen. And so far, it has very much happened, like when I kind of predicted about the case with like the pandemic situation. But I also have another video where I talked a little bit more about unemployment, and specifically about why it would be so crucial to not necessarily extend the unemployment by $600, but to certainly at least do something to help the people unemployed, and not just to run away, like nothing has happened. So the fast answer to everything that's been going on is that to this day, once again, we still do not know what is going to be in the second stimulus check / second stimulus package. But what we do know is two things. The first thing we know is that the likelihood of a second stimulus check / second stimulus package, it's pretty much happening. I think it's pretty much happening, considering everything that's been going on in the news. We just don't know what exactly is going to be in it. But there's also one thing that we also do know, and is that we do know so much about the state of our country right now in terms of everything that's been going on in related to the unemployment rates, not just the actual benefits, but also even about the health pandemic situation, the rising cases, and about how everything that is going on right now is going to really impact a lot of different people. Okay, so the current story and situation, as you guys might have been following the news, is that right now the health pandemic cases, they are skyrocketing. They are crazy. They are going out of this world. And if you've, I think, followed like in yesterday's news, California has officially locked down their state once again, in the sense that I'm pretty sure like all of the restaurants, entertainment, bars, theaters, everything has once again started to close down. And Florida has officially hit a record case. I forgot the exact number, but I do remember that supposedly they said something that if Florida was its own country, right now Florida's daily day count would basically be the fourth highest place being impacted, which I believe the top three being, I believe it's Brazil, India, and the USA. Florida, literally, if it was its own country, that little one state, is now has more cases than basically multiple nations across the entire world, which is insane. And it's crazy because actually Disney World literally just opened in Florida like yesterday. It's so crazy that such a thing happened. And so because the current situation is that we are seeing so many rapid cases that are rising over and over again, and that as California, now that California has actually somewhat locked down and starting to really close down again, I believe they even announced in California that they actually decided that they're not going to be reopening school in person anymore in San Diego and LA. I think they sort of semi-made it official, more or less. I think that they're still opening the schools, but they're not going to be holding any in-person classes anymore. Everything's going to be taken online, and there's a lot of other states that really should be following, like Florida, and I'd even say Arizona, but they're just not doing it for whatever reason. In fact, Florida has actually opened up their state, which is really, really crazy. But the really, really crazy situation is that the more that these states don't try to lock up all that kind of stuff, even if they try to force it, at the end of the day, so many different people are going to be impacted by this situation. Is that for me personally, as you probably know, I'm actually from New York City, and in New York City we had to lock down the state, and we should have really been a model for the rest of the country, because back then, I remember back in March and April, we were the most targeted and hit place, and everywhere else was considered safe zone. And now the tables have basically flipped, more or less, and I figured that we should have been the model to tell everyone else around the country what not to do. And the crazy thing is, in New York City, we locked down our state and city for basically a month and a half, where everyone literally more or less stayed home, and we still saw cases skyrocketing and going out of this world. So I can only imagine, it's almost like a social experiment at this time, to see what would have happened to a state if they saw COVID cases rise up and skyrocket, but did not lock down the country as a whole, especially now in places like Florida and basically most of the South, because at least California is now basically locked down. But how this is really related to what I'm going to be talking about is that because with every single state that is basically starting to lock down, or that's actually suffering at this time period, it actually means even less and less jobs are going to be existing. California, restaurants have officially closed down, bars have officially closed down again, schools have officially, decided not to reopen in person anymore. So education is going to be impacted, school is going to be impacted, hospitality is impacted, travel is impacted. So with every single industry that's actually slowly starting to shut down, it actually means that basically exactly like what I kind of predicted already in one of my previous videos about the unemployment, which I'll link it below in the description, or put it like in a thumbnail that you can click to check it out at the very, very end. So definitely watch all the way to the end of the video. The situation is that basically with everything that's been going on right now, I can only imagine where this country is going to be headed in the coming weeks, basically, that's ahead. And maybe comment down below to make your own prediction about what you think is going to happen with this country right now, or maybe how your state is currently being impacted by this current situation. Because the situation, I think the story is that I think it's fair to say that with every single lockdown and thing that is going on all around the country right now, this is going to impact the job market. This is going to impact the economy. It's going to impact politics. It's going to impact the social aspect of this country. It's going to impact all the businesses. So the story and real update that I'm really trying to get here, that I think everyone that wants to hear about, is that with the rising COVID cases and everything that's been going on, the more people that are currently being impacted, the more likely there will be a greater thing that's going to happen within the stimulus package, that stimulus update. But what's really going on right now is that the real bad news, I think, is that they're very, very hesitant on wanting to extend the unemployment rates, the unemployment $600 per week benefit. The more neutral and I guess good news though is that it does look relatively promising that they are going to give you guys something, give us something. We're in this together. So that is one of the more neutral news. It's really just a matter of what exactly is going to be in it. So at least we know that there's going to be something done, and hopefully it's not like we're just stranded out of nowhere, because as we probably talked about in one of our previous episodes, the impact to every single person, including the Senate Republicans themselves, will be massive if they don't do something related to it. Not necessarily extend 600. It looks like they probably will not be extending the 600. That's really the sad news. But the brighter neutral news is it looks like they're still going to be doing something. So it's not going to be like they just walk away, even though they already technically did it for the last 1 week, because they decided to go take a vacation for whatever reason, which I think is pretty screwed up. Maybe smash the like button if you agree with that part as well. The great news, I think, is that even Donald Trump actually supports a second stimulus check / second stimulus package. Crazy enough, believe it or not, in fact, not only does he support it, he actually wants to help the people. That's actually the more interesting thing is he actually is one of the people that's trying to push for a second stimulus check / second stimulus package. He's doing something that's actually supporting the country, supporting you and I. But I think the problem is the real cheapskate that's actually been going on right now, that's been involved has been Mitch McConnell. The Mitch McConnell who has basically been running around collecting millions of dollars. He's the same person who has basically just destroyed everything in terms of American politics and the social aspect and everything about it, because he was the one, as we mentioned, that wanted to cap it where only people who made under $40,000 would get the stimulus check or stimulus package. Given the current situation, our country is taking a hit. A very massive hit right now. And I guess the final real bad news is Mitch McConnell. He's always a bad news. I mean, anything with Mitch McConnell is always going to be a bad news. I think smash the like button if you agree with that part as well. But basically, I guess the other final bad news is that even though we see the positivity, that there's hope of something going on, reaching consensus between every single person is going to be difficult. And that more or less, I think that whatever does end up going through, there's going to be a lot of compromise that's going to be happening. And it's probably going to be somewhere between the midpoint. How they're going to be able to work this out, we don't really know. But it's going to involve a lot of difficulties trying to find that consensus, both because of the political aspect, because of the two sides, the House Democrats and the Senate Republicans not liking each other, and because of the election going on, but also just in general because of just their life philosophy and belief about how they want to approach the situation. As I mentioned, about how they're trying to force people to go back to jobs that don't actually exist inside of the job market. 10 million people looking for jobs, but only 5 million jobs exist. So it's kind of not really the best situation to be in. I just hope whatever goes through, we are all going to be in this together. Stay safe, stay well. My next update is probably going to be next week, because next week, as we know, that is going to be when the Senate Republicans finally come back from vacation. I believe it's July 20th, 2020. I think it's a Monday. They will officially be coming back from vacation, and that is when we hopefully will see a lot more news coming back. So hopefully till then, stay safe, stay well, and hoping the best for every single person. Thank you guys so much for watching, and the absolute best.